You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine.
The opinions and views expressed in this program do not reflect those of KUCI, its management, or the UC Board of Regents. To find out more about this talk show or other talk shows broadcasting on KUCI, log on to our website at kuci.org or check out the latest program guide.
This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at 5 Star Theatricals for their presentation of West Side Story.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with...
Hi, Larry Rabin.
Great, and what did you do tonight?
I directed West Side Story at 5 Star.
This performance was fantastic. In fact, this is the first time I've been to 5 Star Theatricals. I've always heard about it and wanted to come by, but I do most of my work in Hollywood. When I came in and saw West Side Story and I saw Maria and Tony, I fell in love with this theater. I heard the music, beautiful dancing, truly fell in love with this theater.
Thank you. We're so lucky here. We have a 20-piece live orchestra. We had a 32-member cast, and then we have a youth ensemble that was new for our production on top of that. And it's incredible to be in an 1,800-seat theater with a big, beautiful set, and to be able to do it like a full Broadway production. And many of our performers have Broadway credits, and we also have amazing people that are just out of performing arts schools. And it's the most amazing level of talent that I've worked with in a long time.
When I saw Tony, when I saw Maria, first of all, not only did they sing fantastic, not only did they dance fantastic, not only were they outstanding actors, they looked the part. I mean, just walking on stage, they were beautiful. That goes to you because the actors were fantastic, the dancers were fantastic, everything. Question, what do you look for in your casting?
Well, specifically with Maria, if you look at the story, I mean, it's Romeo and Juliet, but I mostly have only seen Marias that are between 25 and 35, and they have a slightly more mature voice. And our Maria just turned 17 years old. She's opera trained. She's the right age. She's the real age of the character, and she's beautiful. So it's that kind of innocence when you put her up against really other wonderful actors that suddenly the story came alive. And our Tony just turned 25. And so they're the right age for the story. These are people just barely into adulthood that are finally falling in love and then making decisions that affect the rest of their lives. So for me, that was so exciting to be able to have people that are really right for it tell this story.
Well, you must be either extremely lucky or extremely talented, because again, not only did they look right, not only did they sing beautifully, not only did they dance beautifully, but they were outstanding actors also.
Yeah, and that for me, when we went into this casting, I said, I want storytellers first and foremost. I would rather have a less perfect voice if they're right for it, type-wise, if they can tell the story. Of course, they need to be able to sing this glorious Leonard Bernstein score. But I really want them, I would rather have people that sing like they sound when they're speaking, that feels authentic to them. And they're beautiful human beings inside and out, and I'm just gloriously lucky and so happy that they're with us.
There are actually 4 West Side Stories going on right now. Well, within the next 4 months or something like that. So, question: why should they come to see this one?
They should come see this one because I love the original Jerome Robbins production, which is 60 years going. That is 99% of the time what people see. It's what's in the film. It's what's licensed. People see all of his original staging, his original choreography. We decided for this production to do our own version. So none of this choreography has ever been seen before, even though there are nods to the original Jerome Robbins. This fight choreography is completely new and authentic. It's not, we started making these people fighters and then taught them how to dance. So we worked backwards rather than taking people with balletic training and tried to teach them how to throw a punch. And for me, I think that really helps tell the story. And because I didn't have to do Jerome Robbins' staging as a director, I could look at each scene originally, authentically, and just say, what do I want to do with this? What does this say to me? How does this serve the original Shakespeare text? What does this tell us about sadly, about where we are as people in the society now. How have we changed, and mostly not changed, in the last 60 years? But make this feel very vibrant and very now. And so I feel very lucky that Patrick Cassidy said, yes, let's do our own version that no one has ever seen.
Actually, my favorite quote in West Side Story is when they say, "Don't you know you make this place terrible?" Well, he says, "Why? We just left it the way we found it."
Yeah.
Do you know how long has West Side Story been going on, and yet this is still relevant?
Right. So West Side Story was 1957. We're now 62 years later, and I get into this discussion with my own family members, people who think that, or they say that kids are worse now somehow. And I have to say, I don't have my own kids, so I don't live through it in that sort of way, but I say, think about, so I was a kid in the 1970s. Were the kids any nicer then? I mean, I think human beings are inherently nice and want to cohabitate, but there is also a very selfish thing about us because we have to survive. So I don't think the kids were any nicer in the 1970s. And then you look at something like this piece in the late 1950s, these kids are not great. You look at 15 years before that, it was World War II. You look at 20 years before that, it was World War I. I think I would like to think that humanity has grown beyond that, but I don't think you can wash any group, any generation, and say, well, kids are worse now. No. Kids need to be taught. We have to evolve as a society. We have to help people integrate. And there was a great thing. I had a dear friend of mine with his kids there last night. They had never seen the show. And Tucker is 13 years old. And he was astounded by the fact that a Polish guy couldn't date a Puerto Rican girl, that would be problematic. It just wasn't on his radar. And so even as much as we're in this time right now where we're talking about us and them, we're talking about, again, Hispanic people as suddenly they can't come into the country, all that kind of stuff. I also love the innocence of a 13-year-old saying, in his own world, he doesn't see why it would be a problem to date somebody outside of your religion or outside of your national identity. You know what I mean? He doesn't see somebody who's Latino or Latina as being different than somebody who's American, because America is the great melting pot, and that made my heart happy.
Okay. Well, I love this performance, and in fact, even though there are 4 versions of West Side Story going on right now, this is probably the best version of West Side Story that I've ever seen, with the exception of course, to the original movie.
Yes. Oh, the original movie. Any day of the week, I could watch it. It's breathtakingly beautiful, and it actually, I was quite scared to try to tackle it in a different way. And what I learned from all of it is that the story is so strong, and the writing that Arthur Lawrence and Stephen Sondheim and Leonard Bernstein, what they did with this piece, I've now learned that it can withstand so many things, and that made me excited for them as artists to think that any of us could build a piece of work that 60 years later is as vibrant as it was the day that it premiered on Broadway. And so I'm honored to work with these artists. I'm honored when people come to see it, and please come to see this version because it's unlike any other version you're going to see.
I agree. In fact, if I had a choice between seeing the movie or seeing this, I would see this version because it's live. You got to see dance live.
Live theater is where it's at. It's that energy exchange between the audience and the actors, and it changes every single time because of that symbiosis. And please come see it live. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Yeah. Once again, love the performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Giselle Torres. I'm 17 years old. I'm a singer, dancer, and actress. I've been in over 25 musicals. I'm also a singer-songwriter. I have a YouTube channel with over 2 million subscribers.
Great. And which character do you play tonight?
I play Maria. Maria is so innocent. She has such a big heart, and she loves so hard, and she always sees the good in people, even when there is bad.
You know, this is my first time at 5 Star Theatricals. Usually, well, you know, I do most of my work in Hollywood, and in Orange County. I usually don't get down to Thousand Oaks, but the second I came here and saw this musical, I fell in love with it. Kind of like your character. When your character comes out, there's some women you just fall in love with their grace, their mannerism, their voice, the tone of their voice.
Thank you so much.
I just fell in love with the theater, and I fell in love with your character also.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much. Thank you so much for coming.
Great. If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Expect to see something completely different, but again, a little take on the classic tale, and you're in for a ride.
I agree. Basically, fantastic dancing, fantastic acting. You were actually there's like four West Side Stories going on right now. And you were probably the best Maria I've seen.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. That's so nice.
And this is probably the best performance I also saw of West Side Story.
Oh wow, thank you. Yeah, the cast is phenomenal. I'm so honored to be part of this.
Yeah. Once again, I love the performance. People should come to West Side Story just to see your version of Maria. I mean, it was fantastic. Everything else, but your version of Maria, again, they should come. If I had to say that basically there's a reason to come here, I'd say come for the dancing, come for the singing, come for the acting, and you gotta check out the person playing Maria.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, once again, love the performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, my name's Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Brandon Rogers. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm playing Tony in West Side Story at 5 Star Theatrical. Been having a great time. Okay, sorry.
So what's your take on Tony?
My take on Tony, he's this street guy, like just trying to get his life back together, and he has this intense, passionate feeling. He knows that something never before is going to happen, and just going with it and like going through that journey. And yeah, he's great. He's very humor. Like he's very funny, I think, and definitely doesn't take life too seriously until it obviously hits him in the face.
I love your performance. And not only your performance, just your very nature. You're like a kid. I mean, you're just like a high school kid coming out there, falling in love, so believable. But you just move the audience so much. I heard people crying, basically, in the audience.
Yeah. Every night the audience gets really into it, and I'm happy that they enjoyed it so much, and they enjoyed the performance as well. Yeah, that means a lot. Thank you.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see some incredible performances and an amazing and timeless story, and that's really important and poignant right now as well. And yeah, just incredible dancing and just amazing scene work as well. And yeah, just like come to just watch the story and just immerse yourself in it. It's beautiful.
I agree. Artistic dancing was fantastic. I love the dancing because you guys dance. I saw some people dancing slowly. That was new to me in West Side Story. But basically, it was so controlled. It was like so emotional, so beautiful. It's almost like ballet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Somewhere Ballet is that's the moment everyone gets to breathe and just like get to experience this hopeful world of something just so beautiful and something so optimistic. Yeah.
Once again, I love your performance. Basically, when I saw you, I said, "That's Tony. That is the Tony." You know what I mean? I mean, just not only just the way you act, just the way you're built, the way you're shaped, the way you dance, the way your eyes look at the audience, your hair, the way your hair flows. You were just fantastic. I just love your performance. There's 4 West Side Stories going on at this time.
Yeah.
You know, like within the next couple of months, they got to see this one. This was the best I've seen.
Thank you. That means so much. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Yeah. Thank you. You did a fantastic performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Patrick Ortiz. I played Bernardo in the show tonight, and it was our opening night. We had a great night, lots of great responses, great audience, good energy. It was fun to finally open it.
So, question: what's your take on Bernardo?
My take is that he is not the bad guy, as everyone usually perceives him as. He's a loving, kind, protective older brother. He's a kind, loving lover and leader of his family and friends, and he's just moving to America, to seek opportunity, to further his life, and he's just defending, who he is and his heritage.
I love this performance. I love your performance. You were fantastic. And actually, in in West Side Story, Bernardo was actually my favorite character. He's so complicated.
Yes.
He's torn by so many things, by love and by hate,
Yes.
and by family and by protection of his sister.
Yes, I agree on all those things, and it's fun because he is the one who's keeping it cool and under wraps and cracking jokes, all the while in the midst of all this anger and chaos, But he's still cracking jokes. He's keeping it cool and keeping his limb. Even when Shrank and the police are still after him, he still keeps his cool,
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should be ready to see an amazing cast, amazing choreography by Carl Warden, who did his own original choreography, amazing set, the costumes. It's just an incredible cast. Yes.
I agree. Basically, this is fantastic. A lot of times when I'm looking at a musical like this, I'm asking myself, what should they come for? Should they come for the dance? Should they come for the singing? Should they come for the acting? I couldn't decide. The acting was fantastic because, again, I've seen this so many times.
Right.
You know what I mean? If the acting isn't perfect and you've seen it this many times, obviously it's going to be disappointing. This was beautifully done. I loved your character. I loved the other characters. I loved your dancing too. Fantastic. That's really a hard. It's hard to actually impress someone with West Side Story. Right. It's so complicated dancing. I just loved it all.
Yes. I was fortunate enough to do the original choreography, Jerome Robbins' choreography, on tour and on Broadway. So I just think Carl did such an incredible job, reimagining the choreography and storytelling, because the choreography is storytelling. Like, it could have lines, it could have, singing. We're telling the story with our bodies, and I think it's such an amazing part in what makes West Side Story.
One more thing, my favorite line in West Side Story is when they say, "Don't you know you make this world terrible?" And he says, "We just left
we found it."
Yeah, we left it the way we found it.
Yeah.
You know how old West Side Story is, and this is still relevant.
Yes.
Doesn't that shock you?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's what makes it one of the most epic musicals of all time, is that we're still dealing with prejudice and hate against just people being the way they are. I mean, this story can interchange with so many current topics and events that are happening nowadays, and I think that's the beautiful part about this story, and why it's going to be told for 50, 100 years from now.
Well, once again, I love the performance. You were outstanding. I just loved it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on the show.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Lauren Louie. I played Anita in West Side Story. I'd like to think that I took Maria in a little bit more of a tender direction than she usually is. And I think that's just because after reading the script as much as I did, there had to be a reason why she ended up letting Maria and Tony be together in the first place. And I think that has to show earlier on in the show rather than just in that moment. So I feel like I tried to adapt to that part of her a little bit sooner in the process rather than only at the end in a point like that. Yeah.
I love the way you performed her. Again, you always felt her. She was always so sensual, but at the same time, so likable.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. I'm honored.
Yeah. So basically, my viewers decide to come out and see this piece. What should they expect to see?
I think this is a beautiful piece of art, and I think this is a different take on West Side Story. I think it's a little bit more real, a little bit more grungy, and I think if they're ready to see something that is a statement on the world, but also beautiful in all its forms, then they are in for a treat. Totally.
Art is the right word behind it. I was looking for the right word to say, and it's basically because I noticed you're dancing. In some West Side Stories, I see them like jumping back and forth, trying to be strong. I saw you guys dancing slowly, so beautifully, so artistically.
Oh, thank you so much. We did our darn best. We did the best we could, so thank you.
Yeah. Also, one more thing about West Side Story. My favorite quote of West Side Story is when they say, "Don't you know you make this place terrible?" And they just said, "Well, we just left it the way we found it."
Oh, that is one of the most poignant parts in the show, and I think that says a lot about the show in itself, is that one line, it tells it all. I agree with you.
Plus, also, do you know how long ago West Side Story came out? And it's still relevant.
It's the same problem still today, and I think that's why it's so important to do it now. I think that history repeats itself, and I think if we speak up more about it now, maybe we can avoid it in the future and we can advocate for change,
Again, like I said, there's 4 West Side Stories going out. They gotta see this one. This is the best one I've seen so far.
I'm so honored. That makes me so happy. Thank you. We worked our tails off.
And I just love your performance. You're fantastic. From the beginning to end, I was basically just mesmerized by it.
Oh my gosh, that is the biggest compliment I've ever gotten. Thank you. I'm so honored. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you once again for being on the show.
Of course, anytime. You're amazing. I would love to do it again.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Alex Pevic. We just opened West Side Story, and it was a really exciting night. The crowd was electrifying, and I thought we were all really focused and committed, and told the story. Had a great time.
Great. And which character did you play?
I played Riff. He's a lost guy, you know. He doesn't have a family. The streets are his home. Like, that's where he feels the most alive, and other than that, he doesn't really have anything else except his relationship with his gang and Tony, and he's clutching onto that for dear life because that's all he's got.
I loved your take on Riff. He seems like a pal. He seems like a lost soul. He seems like me. You know what I mean? I saw a lot of me in him.
Yeah.
So if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
A lot of really talented performers giving their all and committing to a beautiful story. And please come out and support the show and support the arts and this community.
I am amazed at how much I like this because there was only like 3 equity actors here, but every character, not only the leads were fantastic, the ensemble, the dancers, the kids, even the guy playing the cop, the guy playing Doc, you are all fantastic.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay, one more quick question. You know, my favorite quote from West Side Story is, "Don't you guys know you make this place terrible?" And then he says, "We just left it the way we found it."
That's the way we found it.
Yeah. What does that say about the story? Because West Side Story's been around for so long, but it's still so relevant.
Yeah, it's growing up in a hard neighborhood, being in a hard place where you don't really feel like you belong, and trying to make the most out of life, and there's crummy things that make in places of people that have money and don't have money. Life is just hard, and it just I think it really touches to the core of humanity, like what we all go through to find our place in this world. So
once again, love the performance. I love your performance. You were fantastic. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. Now I'm here with
I'm Skip Peepo with West Side Story. I'm very happy to be doing the show. I did the show for a year a few years ago on tour, and I'm very happy to be doing it again. It's wonderful.
Great. And which characters did you play?
I play Shrank and also Gladhand. They're trying to, in their own way, prevent the inevitable. They're trying to prevent the conflict between the rivals, and they're just kind of powerless to stop what's going to happen.
Well, actually, I also think that they're kind of using racism. There's some modern politicians. I don't think that racist, but they use it to get what they want. You know what I mean? I think he was doing the same thing. He wasn't that racist. He was just using it. You know what I mean?
You're talking about Shrank now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's true. His goal is to either stop it by force or to have a reason to keep these people in what he considers to be a safe place, so they can't go at each other. And so he will goad them with any tactic, racism, personal things about their lives, anything he can use.
If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
New choreography, some new enhanced bits. If they're familiar with the story, they're going to be surprised, they're going to be touched, they're going to cry, they should bring tissue. And be prepared to have a good time and a wonderful experience.
I agree with all those things, but also a lot more. Basically, fantastic dancing.
Yes.
Controlled. I've usually seen West Side Story. They're like jumping back and forth as fast as they can. Here I saw them dance very slowly, so controlled.
Yes.
Kind of like channeling hatred, kind of like showing grace and the beauty behind it. You know what I mean?
Yes, the dancing is fantastic, and the talent is amazing, and the voices are great, and all that, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm surprised because there's only I think 4 equity contracts here, but
correct.
They were outstanding. I mean, this is probably one of the best West Side Stories I've seen, and there are so many going on right now.
Right.
I think 4 going on this year.
Yeah.
I'd say this one's the best I've seen so far.
I would have have to agree. I would have to agree. It's the best I've seen, and I've seen a few.
Okay. Well, once again, I loved your performance.
Thank you.
I loved everyone's performance. I mean, the villains were just blended so well. The love story, the beauty behind it, and it was just a wonderful performance. I thought it was fantastic.
That's what it has to be. In order for the love story to really shine and to really be bright and what you hope for and what you root for, the environment has to be that kind of tension and hatred and violence and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think we really put those together really well.
Yeah, well, I love your performance also. Yeah, thank you very much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Ivan Thompson. Just an amazing cast. I'm so glad to be a part of it. Tonight's opening night. How can you beat that?
Great. And which characters you play tonight?
I play Doc. Doc is in this show, a very interesting character because he's African American. And in the traditional story, Doc is probably Caucasian and probably identifies more with the Jets, whereas for me, the color lines are kind of gone, and these are just kids that you're trying to keep out of trouble and keep alive, and that's Doc's motive, love for these kids and trying to keep them out of trouble, and then it all starts falling apart. The elements start taking over, and then kids start dying. And then ultimately kids on both sides, and it's heartbreaking, but it's not a white or Puerto Rican thing. It's just a kid thing. Trying to keep good, kids, which are good at heart, off the streets and from hurting each other and on a better path.
Originally, obviously, in Romeo and Juliet, he was a priest. Him being kind of above it, him being kind of, I know what's going on and all that. I'm in tune with God. I felt you were kind of in tune with racism. Like, I've seen this before. This is wrong. Don't you get this? Just trying to give your wisdom over to them. That's what I got from your character.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at Schrank treated both groups as immigrants. Granted, he treated the Puerto Ricans worse, but he still referred to the Polacks, if you will, as immigrant scum. And for me, knowing Schrank's true nature, it resonated with me. But now I'm seeing him doing it to two different groups of people. So it was interesting in that regard.
Okay, if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see phenomenal acting, phenomenal dancing and choreography, some twists, some character and plot twists, some real neat set design, and just super talented people. Several people have been on Broadway, several have been on national tours, and it shows.
I agree. Basically, there are so many versions of West Side Story going on. I think there's like 4 of them going on right now in this area. I think this one is by far the best. All the characters, not only the lead characters, the ensemble like yourself, even the little kids, they were all fantastic.
Yes. I mean, I didn't want to spoil it with the little kids. We won't tell what the little kids did. But they're so talented, dancing and singing and fearless. They just get out there, and these little kids are sharing the stage with people that have toured on Broadway and are oblivious because they're just so confident.
Once again, I love the performance. I love your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
West Side Story will be playing at 5 Star Theatricals from July 26th to August 4th. For more information, go to www.5startheatricals.com. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Electric Lodge for their presentation of Gunshot Melody Part 1.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Derek Jackson. And I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. I've lived in California for about 3 years now. I've been working in the city, and I play Alvis in Gunshot Melody. Alvis is somebody who spreads love and joy, which is something that is so needed for today's world. Alvis is somebody who's just accepting of everybody and really wants to find the joy in everything. I think we go through a lot of pain, but finding that joy is necessary as a way to survive. Yeah.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
I think somebody can expect to see the honoring of lives who were not honored while they were here. I think somebody could expect to laugh, somebody could expect to learn, and somebody could really expect to see themselves in these characters. Because I think Alvis, Betty, and George, we know these characters. We know the people who just want to go ahead and change the world instantly. We know the people who need to suppress some of the pain that they feel in order to survive, and then we know the people who just want to love. And so finding where you fit into these characters is something that I think people are going to really connect with and identify with.
I really like this piece. Well, first of all, it's very dramatic. It's very soul-crushing. And, there's a lot of messages. For example, like you're saying, there's some people who want to change the world immediately. Mm-hmm. When you look at the black experience, it's only been about 150 years. And they were, the African Americans, the slaves, were like the very bottom. I'm not talking the 1%, I'm talking the extreme bottom, right? And look at where they are now. You could be president of the United States if possible. And you think, can you change the world immediately? That's pretty close. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we still have so much further to go, and this play is proof of that. It's one thing to do a show where a writer has made up a story from scratch, and it, is something that's fictional. But these names are actually rooted in truth. These names are real. You know what I mean? The story is real, and it's something that we're living in. So it hits really close to home because it is home.
I agree with you also that, again, we do need a lot to go. And actually, one thing I admire about the African American experience is it's basically built on an ocean of blood. What other race can you say that, or American race can you say, was built on an ocean of blood?
I think people in color in general are often oppressed and not seen and not heard. And so it's important for me as an actor of color, a black actor specifically, to tell stories that are pushing communities forward, that are engaging with stories that have a political message. And I think if, as an actor, sometimes we consider there to be a difference between actor and activism, but really the two are synonymous. And I think if you're doing it right, then the projects that you're engaging with and the projects that you're partnering with, you not only have the ability to work on pieces like Gunshot that tell a true narrative that is relevant today, that's timely and timeless, but you also have the ability to say no to projects that don't do that. I don't want to be the token black guy in a all-white production of such and such, you know what I mean? I want to tell stories that are pushing communities forward and really bringing attention to our narrative, because it's not something that's brand new. It's something that has gone on for years and years and years, and shows like this are like a call to action. They're a wake-up call. This is activism in itself, and even the audience being here is activism in itself. We're offering up these names into a space and giving honor and life to them again. So.
Well, I love the experience. I loved your acting. It was very dramatic, very moving, but it also, it didn't go over the edge because the message was just so appropriate. You know what I mean? So basically, I feel my viewers should come by and see this. Expect to see some soul crushing. Expect to see, gunshots and some old black gospel music.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's who Elvis is. I mean, I can speak to him. That's who Elvis is. He loves music, and music's at the core of all of us. And I think this play, whether you're white, black, yellow, green, purple, blue, this play has something in it for everyone, and we may not all have the same experience racially, but music is something that everyone connects to. Love is something that everyone connects to. Pain is something that everyone connects to. And in this particular play, we're experiencing and sharing our trauma and our pain, but we're also experiencing that joy and that love, which is equally as important. Yeah.
Well, really, really love the performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Mildred Marie Langford. This has been an amazing process. This is our second time doing the show, and I think this time around we definitely have found deeper meaning in the story. We found places to deepen the narrative, and I think that's been extremely powerful and has been resonating quite well with people, especially people who saw it last year and coming back and seeing it again and saying, oh my God, that moment was so different for me this time around, and that was amazing. And so, yeah.
And which character do you play again?
I play Betty. I think Betty is a beautiful character. I think she's someone who is diligently trying to clean up the mess that has been going around. I think she's someone who is very determined and very committed and devoted to her task. And she wants to get the most of it done. So I think she's just someone who is just very determined and just very diligent and very, I think that describes her the best.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
I think they should expect to see a piece that is very compelling and very honest in its storytelling, something that is very present, and I hope that it's something that will open people's eyes to what is going on around them, because I think sometimes when we are sort of in our own little bubbles, in our own little worlds, we aren't always very cognizant of what's going on around us. So I think this piece in particular sheds light on a lot of things that people aren't quite familiar with, or maybe aren't aware of, even though it's happening around them quite often.
Well, I'm not an African American person, but basically I did feel the trauma. I felt the struggle. I heard the gunshots,
yes.
And I felt the death around me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I sort of think that is the point of what the playwright was trying to get at, was trying to make people not only see but also hear. You know, it's a regularity, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be something that is happening so much within the African American community, and also communities of brown people, people of color. Even though this speaks specifically to the African American community, but I think it happens quite a bit with just communities of color. So yeah.
Well, I also loved your acting, because again, it's very difficult to play a piece this intense, constantly from beginning to end. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I love the way you performed tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love Betty. I love doing the show, and I hope that as many people as possible, even people that aren't of color, will come out and see it and bear witness to it. And hopefully it'll be a call to action to something, and they'll want to go out and find ways that they can be just as much of an activist or a change goer in their own communities. Yeah.
Once again, loved your performance. I love the performance as a whole. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, and thank you for going out to see us.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Jonathan Walters. I am from St. Louis, Missouri. I went to Chapman University undergrad, and I've been up in LA for about 4 years since graduation in 2015 doing shows. I've worked at the Odyssey, I've worked at Antaeus, Boston Court, and I'm working with Rogue Machine Theater. Very, very honored and happy.
Great. And which character do you play?
I play George. He is the one who dreams while awake. He's a visionary. His main goal in the hereafter is to transport the souls from the land of the living over to the land of the dead. But what he wants to do is create change to stop seeing the unjustified murders of unarmed black people. And so his idea is to go back and change, to start with the psychology, to start with the human patterns and abilities to change what is going on in the land of the living.
So, is that your take on George, or basically is he like a good guy, bad guy? Is he like troubled? Is he lost? Is he evil? Is he basically heroic? What are your thoughts on him?
Just as we are as all human, I think he's all of those, to be honest with you. And he may be seen as the bad guy or the aggressor to, let's say, Albus or Betty, simply because he's the one who he defies the laws of the hereafter. He's supposed to stay at his post. He's supposed to do the work that the ancestors said to do, but instead he decides to reincarnate and go back to the land of the living. So I personally see him as he's heroic. He is a dreamer. He is passionate. He's a leader. Ultimately it boils down to him being a leader. So just as the souls of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and even Barack Obama are someone who incites change and redefines what it means to be human, to be black, to be free. I believe that is what George is.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to be transported, taken to another world that it looks different, but really it's the world inside of each and every one of us. It's the world that's inside of our mind. It's the world that's inside of our soul. It's what connects all of us. And if people come with an open mind and really allow themselves to be changed, to be for their lives to be enriched, to be inspired, they will definitely get that.
Well, I really love the performance. Again, it was dramatic. It's so crushing. That's the type of theater I like. I want the theater that actually moves me. Yeah. This one actually moved me to the point where I just felt that obviously the black experience was one so traumatic. It was basically built on an ocean of blood.
It was, and I really feel that's the same way about our country. I mean, if you think about the start of the United States of America, just like I said in my speech at the very end, it was built on blood. It was cultivated at first by the Native Americans who did live here and who lived here in peace. They lived here in harmony, and then it was taken over. So I really truly believe that what we walk today on is literally a cemetery from all the hurt and the pain. It's on the backs of the people who lost their lives just to make this thing happen. So.
Once again, I love the performance. I really loved your performance too. You were like Malcolm X. You were like Martin Luther King. You were everyone all together, basically just giving a beautiful speech.
Thank you.
A call to action, also.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I hope that everyone can walk away with that same experience. So thank you for coming.
All right. Well, thank you once again for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Shalia Nicole Stubblefield. Well, we just finished Gunshot Medley Part 1 by Deanna Michelle Daniel. I play the High Priestess, and it was an amazing show tonight, a great crowd, and it's just a story that needs to be heard. And, we encourage everyone to come out, tell a friend, and be a part of the conversation. My character is Oya, which is in the wind. I bring the storm. I cover the graveyard, and I watch out for those people there. So it's kind of like I'm like the spirit. I embody the spirit of our ancestors who were there looking out for those who were, crossing to the other side.
And if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to cry, they should expect to laugh, but they shouldn't expect to be enlightened and called to action.
I agree. It was a very moving piece. It showed a lot of trauma, drama, soul-crushing experiences, and I love that. I love a soul-crushing show that basically just brings you to tears or just brings you to, just saying things are unfair. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The piece is very relevant to the times that we're in right now, especially with all the African Americans being killed by police and all the negative things that are happening. It's just one of those pieces where it tells you, this is still happening. This is the reality that we live in. What are we going to do about it?
I also love the acting because, in a sense, you brought us to the edge, but not too far because it still has to be a drama. You still got to play the audience, still got to tell the story. You got to make it interesting, wonderful, and you also have to connect with the audience. I think you guys did all that.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, and please come out and see us. We're here at the Electric Lodge for the whole month, so come check us out. It's a beautiful piece.
Yeah, once again, loved your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Gunshot Melody Part 1 will be playing at the Electric Lodge from July 6th to August 11th. For more information, go to www.roguemachinetheater.net. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Odyssey Theater for their presentation of Loot.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Robbie Jarvis. Yeah, we've opened Loot tonight. Loot is a black comedy about two boys that rob a bank, and one of them decides that he's going to hide the money in his recently deceased mother's coffin.
Great. And which character do you play?
I play Hal. I play one of the bank robbers. He's a lot of fun. He ends up foiling his father and pins the entire thing on his dad. So it's kind of about how young people need to make their own way in the world.
It's a classical British comedy.
Yep.
A farce, basically, where where things are turned upside down, where the nobility is actually the miscreants, where the criminals are actually the heroes, and all kind of with the nobility.
Yeah.
So but it was also done extremely well by the actors themselves.
Oh well, that's very kind of you to say that. I can't say that. Yeah, it's the triumph of the working man.
That's great. And also, as for a theater piece, though, very comical. It's all time. It's a British comedy. If you've seen things on PBS like the Black Adder or Red Dwarf, that's what it was like.
Well, and this was written in 1964, so this preceded them. This is where that kind of comedy kind of originated on the stage in London. So yeah, it's slapstick. It's very fun. If you want to watch lots of madness on stage, then this is your show.
Great. If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see lots of fun and hijinks. Come with an open mind, because you are going to see dead bodies being flung around and thrown into cupboards, and bring your laughing shoes, because it's going to be fun.
Yeah. I agree. I thought it was very funny, very theatrical. It was also, for its time, very shocking. Where old women would marry young men, where there'd be multiple murders, where it'd actually be, they'd be joking about homosexuality. A really dark comedy, but actually very funny.
Well, when the play was originally put on in 1965, they had to change the script because they weren't allowed to do it as it is. So I think this is the first production in Los Angeles which has got the real, authentic, unchanged script. So it's a fun show.
That was amazing. Plus, also love you guys' comic timing, your look, your accent, everything about it was just perfect. I felt like I was watching a TV series, actually, off of PBS.
Off of PBS, yeah. Well, yeah, maybe that's the next step. We'll do Luke, the TV series.
All right. Well, once again, love your performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with
Ron Batista. Well, I'm here. We just did Loot. Played Inspector Truscott, the rather violent bourgeois policeman from the Metropolitan Police Force. And this is the third show I've done at the Odyssey this season, so I'm sort of happy to be back here again.
Actually, I see in classical plays there's these recurring themes like the aristocrats are fools, and the commoners are actually very intelligent and all that.
Yeah.
But in your case was every time and then I would see the police officers or the constables or the civil service, and they're just a bunch of fools, just like the Queen. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not sure you want to include the Queen in that, but I think there's definitely a level of civil servants that have their agenda, and sometimes they get very they get involved with tunnel vision, and they have their things to do and don't take into account all the things that are going around them. But I think there's a great viciousness to Truscott, which it's the authority putting the boot in and reinforcing the social order. And Auden was very aware of that in the 60s, and that was one of the things he was pushing against.
Yeah, that's something I love about British comedy. Again, they will talk about modern politics and give this little twisty joke, like there's an affair going on, and there would be an affair going on, and they would just nail the joke as far as to be able to take it. You know what I mean?
Well, everyone thinks that the whole British society is all very polite, but to enlarge the empire, to get the empire the size it was in 1900, you don't do that by being polite. You do that by enforcing rules and being quite violent, and I think that's one of the things that Auden's was dealing with. It's one of the things he wanted to portray.
If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Someone just told me this play was a hoot, and that's the sort of advertising headline that writes itself. Loot is a hoot. It's crazy high energy. There's dead bodies. There's dead people's teeth being used as castanets. There's brutality. There's bodies upside down in coffins. There's explosions. It's got it all.
I agree. If you like British comedy, you like British farce. Basically, the jokes are very highbrow, and they actually have this dark meaning in the back about police brutality. About basically if you're a prostitute, then you're a noble person. You know what I mean? The very opposite of where things are. If you're a Catholic priest, then you're a miscreant or something like that. Yeah. That's what you get from this thing.
Everyone's a miscreant in this, though. Everyone's a miscreant. Everyone's very transactional. There are no morals. Everyone's in for something, and that's the sort of thing that Auden worked. That's the world he lived in to a great extent, and that's he portrays it in this play. It's lovely. It's really fun.
I love the piece. Again, classic theater. Really hard to get good comedy. The acting was fantastic because again, it's all timing. They were hilarious. The audience was just laughing, rolling in the aisles. So I thought you guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Lovely talking with you.
Great.
Again.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Alex James Phelps. It's just a really good opening night. I'm glad for the people that came along, and we look forward to more nights like this.
Great. And which character did you play?
I played Dennis. He's a great character to play. He's a good laugh. Doesn't care too much about anything in the world, so you can have a lot of fun with him.
I love the piece. It was actually basically, if you're a fan of British comedy, you would just love this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, exactly. If you can dip into that British comedy humour, then I'm sure you'll love this. It's a complete farce. So, that's what we do it for. People to come here and have fun.
Yeah, if my viewers decide to come and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Just a lot of ridiculousness on stage, and fast-paced play with a lot of craziness.
I thought the wit and the language is very, very, very deep, very intellectual. It was very witty. It was also, again, a little unconventional because they will talk about things like, randy characters. You know what I mean? They will talk about incest. They will talk about homicide. They'll talk about a lot of the stuff that, it's hard to make jokes out of, but the British seem to be able to do that.
Yeah, especially Joe Orton. I don't know if you've read any of his other plays, but they're all very much like this. It's very particular language, and I think, that's what makes it funny.
Well, I love the performance. I love your performances. I thought it was hilarious. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm here with...
I'm Nicholas Horman. Well, I'm so happy that the opening went so well, relatively speaking, because the challenges are twofold. One is extremely rapid-fire dialogue combined with ridiculous physical shenanigans. And once or twice I found myself almost gasping just to keep, gasping for breath. But we had fun.
Great. And which character did you play?
I play McCleavey, the man who has who's the father of Hal, the young man in the play. I've chosen to adopt a kind of a lower middle class position of someone who aspires to be higher class and therefore often gets himself offended about things that go against the grain of his sense of propriety and the proper thing to do and morality, and he's always offended by anything that's remotely indecent. But at the same time, underneath it is a quiet kind of pleasure at witnessing all the indecencies that occur around him. Something like that.
Great. And my viewers decide to come by and see this piece. What should they expect to see?
A lot of silliness. It's very English, but I think that it plays very well to American audiences. I mean, tonight's audience seemed to appreciate it completely and get everything.
I loved it. And actually, your character's kind of the straight character, this classical English character who's noble, who's just pure white, and everyone around him is just these clowns and all that.
He's bewildered. That's right. He's totally bewildered a lot of the time, right? Yes.
So I love the performance. I thought everyone's comic timing was fantastic. And in theater, it's not all classical. It's not all dramatic. It's not all people being murdered. There's actually a lot of comedy in Moliere and all that, in which it's very hilarious. And this was a fantastic example of a piece like that.
Thank you for saying so. I really appreciate the skillful way that Orton combines that kind of deft use of language with the physical stuff that I talked about earlier.
Yeah. Once again, love your performance. I thought you were classic. I thought this was like watching an episode from PBS, one of those classical British comedies.
Yes, yeah, right. Maybe like Carry On, those movies as well, right? Yeah. The English are very gifted at being totally silly. Look at John Cleese. Look at so many. Yeah.
Once again, love the performance, and I love your performance too. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Aarons. We've just done the opening night of our play Loot at the Odyssey Theatre, and I think it went pretty well. Come see it.
Great. And which character did you play?
I play Faye. My take on Faye. Well, she's a nurse, and she's a Catholic nurse, but she's also got a bad streak in her, so you better be careful. You definitely don't want to marry her.
Thank you very much. I thought your character was incredibly charming and incredibly adorable, even though she was a terrible person.
Yeah, terrible person. Yeah,
the British are kind of like that. They turn things upside down, where people of nobility are like fools. People who are rich are like idiots, but people who are common hard workers, they're suddenly like these incredibly intelligent people.
Yeah, right. It's a fun play, though. It's a really wordy play, but it's a farce. It's like everything gets turned on its head and twists and turns throughout the whole play, and that's what makes it fun and exciting and ridiculous and silly and just something to have a good laugh with.
I agree, but again, it is actually very classical. You see Moliere is like that. You'll see classical clowning is like that, and that's very theatrical. I thought this piece basically showed that side of British comedy.
Yes.
And it's also very complex. It talks about homosexuality. It talks about homicide.
Yeah.
And it talks about all that stuff, and it does it with this charm, this adorableness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's Joe Orton's humor just to pass over a lot of issues in a comedic way, it's all the issues that they come across, and it's still very political and still very current to this day, is talked. All the words are very, they just kind of blasé over them in a very comical way, I guess. I don't know. I'm having a glass of wine.
I've noticed also most of the cast is English. I mean, that's very unusual. Even for me in a theater city like Los Angeles, I don't see this many English actors.
Oh, we are here. We're here to stay. But there's quite a lot of English people in LA, I guess. There's one actor who's not. No, actually, there's two actors in the play that aren't English. Selena and Nick, but they do a marvelous job at doing an English accent. So.
Okay, one last question. If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
What should they expect to see? Gosh, they should expect to see a lot of controversy, a lot of ridiculous. You should just come and see it. I mean, I undress a corpse on stage. There's a lot of physical comedy. Just come and see it. I don't know.
I agree. First of all, I thought it was hilarious. Great classical timing. If you love English comedy, British comedy, like Red Dwarf or Blackadder, you'll see stuff like this, which talks about these ridiculous things, but actually dark stuff too. And they just do it with such humor and grace. You know what I mean?
Also, the language is very. All the language is very classical, so you have to be listening. I think at the beginning you have to. It's a bit like Shakespeare. At the very beginning, you're listening to the words and you're trying to understand what sort of genre and the flow of it is. And within a few minutes, it kind of washes over you and you understand everything that's coming. It's not modern day, but it's still a farce and it's still funny and it's a lot of fun.
Once again, love the performance. I love your performance. I thought you were, again, charming, graceful, elegant. You're classical, typical British female actress. I guess you're a bit of a stereotype, but you're just a wonderful stereotype.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Selena Willery Smith. I'm an actress that's currently working at the Odyssey Theater in a production of Loot, and I play Mrs. McLeavy. Well, she's not alive, but hopefully my performance is very much alive, and without giving too much away, I move around quite a lot for somebody who really can't move around quite a lot.
If my viewers decide to come and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Oh, a terrifically funny, quick, witty, British romp, and just a laugh from beginning to end.
Yeah, I noticed that it actually had a lot of classical theatrical mediums in it. For example, like the aristocracy, they're fools, and the lower common people, the thieves, are actually noble in their take. The humor is very dark. They'll talk about things like homosexuality, and make it very witty, very humorous. You know what I mean?
Well, back in the 60s, I think a lot of that subject matter was very underlying, and I think the play was quite controversial at the time. So yes, they poke fun at the play pokes fun at a lot of different things and illuminates sort of I think the police force is really what they're making fun of the most, really, in this play. But they do take a look at everything pretty closely, turn it around, make fun of it.
Well, I love the performance. I love the performance of the entire cast, and you're actually a very key part of it also, because you help move things around and all that. And I thought you guys were fantastic.
Oh, I so appreciate it. Without an audience, we don't have a play, so we really appreciate people coming out. And I think everybody who came out to this play tonight had a really good time, and that's really what we want. That's really all we care about.
Great. Once again, I love the performance. I love your performance. I love classical British comedy. Blackadder and all that. Well, it's more than just funny. It's kind of twisted. You know what I mean? They'll take these jokes about police brutality and suddenly make it hilarious. You know what I mean? So I just love the performance.
Thank you so much. Well, isn't that what comedy does? It takes you take a real close look at it, twists it around, helps you laugh at it, but then it makes you go, ooh, what did I just laugh at? Thank you.
Yeah, once again, love the performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Loot will be playing at the Odyssey Theater from June 8th to August 10th. For more information, go to www.odysseytheater.com. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at North Coast Rep for the world premiere of Another Roll of the Dice.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Sarah Arrington. I'm here at North Coast Rep. We are doing another roll of the dice until mid-August, I think 11th. Yeah.
Great, and which characters did you play?
I play the character of Zelma and others. Yeah.
What's your take on your favorite characters, the ones that you play?
Ooh, my favorite characters. I love Valeria, the New York socialite. She's a lot of fun. The costumes are great. But my favorite is actually the smallest role, Mitzi, Two Shoes.
Actually, I loved your performance. I mean, you basically merged into various women. I mean, you had individual accents for each one of them, individual movements for each one of them, and you just went right into your characters. I just love your performance tonight.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a unique challenge because it's a new play, and so we've been doing a lot of rearranging and rewriting and kind of delving out the characters however it best serves the story and it best serves the actors we have, and so it's been a lot of fun and a lot of play. So
if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Ooh, lots of gangsters, lots of pinstripe suits and fedoras, lots of accents, lots of wigs, brilliant costumes, and beautiful music by the one and only Frank Lesser.
If you love Guys and Dolls, you kind of love this story. Again, it's more of an old-fashioned type story. You know, it's G-rated. I mean, even though it is about gangsters, it is actually G-rated. So you bring your kids to it. And actually, again, if you love this kind of jazz type music, you also love it also.
Oh yes. And as much as we're calling it an accomplice to Guys and Dolls because you don't have to see Guys and Dolls in order to understand what's going on in this play. We don't have any of the same characters, any of the same songs. It's just the same world because the short stories that we portray are all Damon Runyon short stories, who is what Guys and Dolls is based off of. So it's a great time. So it's good for all ages. And definitely the jazz era. I've been listening to Ella Fitzgerald does a great cover of I Hear Music, which is one of the songs I sing, and she's scatting all over the place, and it's a great inspiration. I mean, how can you compete, right?
Yeah, once again, I really enjoyed myself tonight, and I really loved your performance. You were fantastic.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Of course, anytime.
Another roll of the dice will be playing at North Coast Rep from July 10th to August 11th. For more information, go to www.northcoastrep.org.